Rochdale Borough is not the most affluent of areas. There's an awful lot of unemployment or people who are on low income.
Unemployment seems to be quite an issue, especially younger persons' unemployment. There isn't an awful lot of manufacturing base left.
It's an asylum dispersal area, which means that a lot of people, when they go to apply for asylum in Croydon near London, they get dispersed to various areas in the country, including Rochdale.
Well, the Rochdale Law Centre is a free legal advice service, mainly for those sections of the community who can't afford to buy legal services.
We also have funding from Rochdale Council, who are very supportive of us, and there again that service is free to all those who live or work in the borough.
I think it's commendable that the council does fund representation. I think it's a reflection that the council places a great importance on assisting its own constituents.
David Bradley came to us possibly just a bit over 12 months ago. He's a gentleman who suffered a stroke about 10 years ago, and he's had subsequent health problems ongoing since then. And he employed a personal assistant through the direct payment system, which is a method of funding care. And due to difficulties between himself and his personal assistant, and due to a misunderstanding where David thought she'd resigned, he ended up being taken to employment tribunal for unfair dismissal.
I would have ended up at tribunal representing myself. Most probably made a complete ash of it, but fortunately Miss Mann at Rochdale Law Centre did a tremendous job. Can't thank them enough. They were brilliant.
There isn't a lot of advice and support out there for people in that situation, and David was one of the first, certainly the first in this area, to undergo that sort of tribunal claim.
I think with law centres they tend to be, they're more specialised and have people who are more highly qualified. We can go from the most basic advice to representation at court.
There's no one niche market that Rochdale Law Centre serves. It serves the whole community, from the very young minors to people who are pension age and older. But I think all of these people could be said to be vulnerable and need a voice, and Rochdale Law Centre is that voice.
You know, there's no point in having a justice system at all if only some people can access it.
Zoe came to us having been issued with a notice to terminate her tenancy. She'd conducted her tenancy perfectly well for a period of around 6 months when she'd been working and paid weekly. She'd managed her money fine. She set up a standing order to pay the rent directly to the council, but unfortunately she hadn't bargained for another payment which came out of her account at the same time, and that left her just under £3 short to pay. And of course the payment was refused by the bank.
I got the notice through unexpectedly. I wasn't expecting anything like that at all. So I got on the phone to my housing officer, and she explained that my rent hadn't been paid because there was insufficient funds in my account.
After listening to our submissions and asking questions, the council decided to reverse the decision and enable Zoe to stay in a home. An arrangement was made that she would repay the outstanding rent arrears and would keep that up to date.
I don't really have much family to go to, and I couldn't, go and ask someone to help me out the mess. So that's why I decided, to seek professional help. And with the help of the law centre, I have managed to get on my feet again.
I just don't see what people will do if we're closed, because the new changes to the legal services that they're suggesting will mean that there will be about 500,000 less people able to access the services. That's without the other funding cuts coming in. So I believe that we've got to be able to maintain a legal system that is for all.
The case of Miss Killoweeny was quite typical in many ways, because it was a case of an individual coming for us for advice and representation in a situation where they felt they'd been unfairly dismissed, and in her case that her dismissal was in connection with her pregnancy or maternity.
They knew I was going on maternity leave. I gave you know, my might be one form and everything, and for some reason they just came up in, you know, a morning and said, we are struggling because of the economical problems. We have to get rid of some people, and I thought they were in their right because, you know, at work they did, you know, all the procedures and everything was according to them fine.
Now, if we hadn't been representing her and advising her about the merits of the case, there's a very good chance that she would have adopted that view herself, given she didn't have access to professional representation. However, we advised she did have a good claim, and it went to tribunal. There was then a 4-day hearing, at the conclusion of which the tribunal, fortunately, agreed that she had been the victim of unfair dismissal and sex discrimination on the grounds of her pregnancy.
I was really, really proud, really think, you know, the Law Centre here for everything they did, really.
I think that Rochdale Law Centre makes a big difference and gives a lot of value to the community. Without our services, a lot of people wouldn't be able to afford, well, they wouldn't have access to legal advice.
I think the Rochdale Law Centre makes a massive difference, certainly to the people that come here for help. Even if we can't solve all of the problems, I think at least people will have some peace of mind that they can understand what's happening and why it's happening to them.
It can make a very substantial difference to people's lives, both financially, in terms of awards or settlements, but also in terms of self-confidence, a belief in the system, a feeling that you've been treated fairly, a feeling that you've been heard, and your voice has been respected.
Well, Mrs. Lawal approached us in the summertime, and I just told her, well, bring in everything you have, and I'll see what I can piece together from what you bring in. She had been in the country since '96 and had a successful asylum claim. Her children, her 2 daughters came, they were 14 and 15 at that time, in 2004, and she duly made the proper application for them to remain in the UK as her kids. Her son came a couple years later. She did the same thing. And she came to me in the summer of 2010 saying, basically, why haven't I had a response? Her case kind of fell through the cracks. So I wrote to the Home Office and basically did a summary of the case and said, well, I'd be obliged if you would give me an update on this case. I can't really see what else you might need.
Initially, they said I have to start again, that I didn't pay for their indefinite leave to remain. I said, no, I paid. Then Lawrence said, do I have the acknowledgement letters? And I said, yes. And I brought it, and she wrote them back.
So on the 21st, we got notice that her son had been granted indefinite leave to remain. And then on the 24th, so that was a Friday, Christmas Eve, I came in early and I saw that, in fact, we'd received the immigration documents, the indefinite leave to remain for both her daughters as well. And I was really happy because I was hoping that we'd get them before the Christmas break. So I gave her a call. She screamed down the phone. I had to hold the phone away from my ear. And I said, can you come in? She said, oh, I'll be there right away. So that was a really happy day, and I could see that we'd made a difference in their lives.
It's a big Christmas present I ever got from the Rochdale Law Centre.
Sometimes it's just the support that we give them that helps them to vocalise their requirements within their own care package or service delivery, and we can help give them that sort of feeling that they have a right to make those sorts of complaints or decisions or take control over their lives. So we offer much more than just the actual legal representation.